In terms of dimensioning the metric drawing, the default arrowhead and text size is 2.5 millimeters. And that is the way we're going to leave it. You will notice as you dimension this that the dimensions do not show up the way you are accustomed to seeing them in an inch drawing. It's because of the format is an ISO format, International Standards Organization. They have a different way than ANSI, American National Standards Institute, of dimensioning objects. The dimensions run parallel to the face that you are dimensioning. When you dimension a circle, wherever you put the leader line, it will run parallel to whatever angle you dimension the circle. I know this part doesn't have circles, but I'm just showing you some of the differences. So when I go to dimension in terms of a linear dimension, even though I'm doing this vertical dimension, the text runs vertical too. The same thing if I put on the horizontal dimension. The text is horizontal. If I had a angled line and I measure its true length, it will run parallel to that line. This is the requirements of the International Standards Organization. They are different than ANSI. Other than that, we don't have too many changes here to make. We still need to follow our dimensioning rules. This one will have all linear dimensions. So having overall length, width, and height, all the dimensions needed to inspect or construct the part. Don't dimension on the object. You will have two interior dimensions, three, that either using an object line as an extension line would be an option, or bringing an extension line through an object line. We still want the dimensions to be between the arrowheads. That does not change. So probably the best thing to do is really just start dimensioning this. Linear dimensions will happen very easily. Other than the formatting, the fact that that 50 is sideways instead of all being horizontal, this is probably all you're going to notice in this part. If they do not go in between the arrowheads, these 10s happen to be going in between the arrowheads. But just like with the inch drawing, we can manually move that dimension in between the arrowheads or in between the extension lines. So overall length, width, and now I need length. I have width and height. I already started on this one. So a dimensioning rule will be broken here, either dimensioning 20 in this fashion or dimensioning 20 with an extension line going through an object line. Again, not both, one or the other. And we will have this interior feature here a couple times. So 35 across the bottom, we cannot assume that the feature is centered. Just because we mirrored it does not mean that it is automatically centered. This one here would be a better option to dimension with your extension line on an object line, because if not, you would be making an extremely long extension line. I still have the gaps at the end of the extension lines to the object. So keep that in mind. That does not change. In the view that shows it the best, a 10 millimeter dimension, I already have the overall height. Now I'm working on this notch in the top. And a distance down. Somewhere here at the top, I do need to dimension that this is 20. I could dimension the distance from both sides of the notch. I prefer that they're symmetrical. It's just me being OCD. But I think at this point I have all the dimensions. I do have the little gap that is created at the end of the extension line to the object. It is just a different format. The tools still work the same. The dimensioning rules still need to be followed to the most part. When you make the leader line, you will not have a shoulder. Isometric or ISO format does not create a shoulder with the leader line, nor with a note if we were to go and note something. But this one doesn't have either of them, so we'll worry about that at a different time. You will notice that our arrowhead size is 2.5, our text size is 2.5. We're in decimals, and actually the fact that the precision is already set to 2 decimal places, and it's to whole numbers, the trailing zeros will not apply. It'd be pretty rare that we even have to change this precision as we go through. I don't like this, the fact that the decimal separator is a comma. This is one that I would use a period. But it's going to be rare that we even have a decimal place. But I would set it to a period instead of a comma. Angle measurements are still in degrees. We're not making any changes there. So overall, not too many changes even in terms of dimensioning. It is really just the format. But that format is taken care of in the template.